Let's dive into the world of Loki, one of the most captivating and unpredictable characters in Norse mythology. Loki isn't just a trickster, he's the embodiment of mischief itself, a sly schemer who delights in putting the gods in danger with his clever, often reckless antics. But why do the gods keep him around? Is he just a troublemaker, or does he serve a deeper purpose in the grand scheme of things? To truly understand Loki's nature, let's explore one of his most notorious exploits, the abduction of Idun. In Snorri Sturluson's Edda, the story begins when Loki is captured by the giant Thjazi. Faced with his captor's demands, Loki strikes a deal that could spell doom for the gods. He promises to deliver the goddess Idun to Thjazi. But why is Idun so important? Because she guards the magical apples of youth, enchanted fruits that keep the gods forever young. Without Idun and her apples, even the mighty Aesir would begin to wither and age. Imagine Loki's cunning as he lures Idun into the trap. He tells her that he has seen apples remarkably similar to her own and persuades her to bring her magical apples with her to compare. Trusting him, she follows. But the moment Idun arrives, Thjazi appears and snatches her away, leaving the gods without their precious source of youth. At first, no one notices Idun's absence. After all, she tends to keep to herself. But it isn't long before the signs of aging creep in. The once ageless gods start to feel the effects of time. Their skin wrinkles, their strength fades, and panic sets in. Where is Idun? They quickly realize that Loki was the last to be seen with her. Can't you just picture the scene? The gods, furious and desperate, confront Loki and demand he set things right. With no other choice, Loki agrees to rescue Idun. He borrows Freya's falcon cloak and takes to the skies, flying to Thjazi's stronghold. There, he finds Idun and, using his trickster's magic, transforms her into a nut, small enough to carry in his talons. As he flees, Thjazi, in the form of a giant eagle, launches into pursuit. The chase is on. The tension builds as Loki races back toward Asgard, Thjazi closing in behind him. But the gods have a plan of their own. From his high seat, Hlidskjalf, Odin sees the approaching danger and orders the other gods to prepare. They pile heaps of kindling just inside Asgard's walls, and the moment Loki and Thjazi come into range, they set the wood ablaze. Thjazi, now surrounded by flames, crashes to the ground, where the gods swiftly finish him off. Loki is more than just a troublemaker. He is a character who exists between worlds. He straddles the line between the gods of Asgard and the giants, constantly shifting the boundaries of both realms. In this tale, Loki brings a taste of immortality to the giants by introducing them to the apples of youth, while simultaneously bringing age and decay to Asgard. He blurs the lines, mixes the worlds, and for a moment everything changes. But in true Loki fashion, he manages to set things right, returning Idun to her rightful place and restoring the gods to their youthful state. What does this story really tell us about Loki? It shows that even though his actions often cause chaos, they also reveal the vulnerabilities of the gods and the fragility of the world they inhabit. He is the catalyst for change, forcing the Aesir to confront what they would rather avoid, their own mortality. Through his schemes, he tests the limits of order, only to restore balance in the end, even if it means playing a role in the destruction of those who aided him. Loki's mischief is not without purpose. It's a force that constantly challenges the status quo. By bringing danger to the gods and shaking the foundations of Asgard, he ensures that complacency never settles in. As a trickster, Loki reminds us that sometimes it takes a bit of chaos to keep the world turning. And though the gods may curse his name, they also rely on him. For without Loki's tricks, the stories of Norse mythology would lose much of their fire and unpredictability. Let's dive into one of the most tragic and consequential tales in Norse mythology, a story that starts with a trickster's whisper and ends in the shadow of Ragnarok. This is the tale of Loki and the death of Balder, the most beloved of all the gods, a figure so radiant that even the sun seemed dim beside him. He was cherished by all, especially by his parents, Odin and Frigg. But in a world where light shines brightest, there's always a lurking shadow. And that shadow was Loki. It all began with dark dreams that haunted Balder, nightmares that foreshadowed his own death. Frigg, his mother, was terrified by these visions. Can you imagine the fear in her heart? A mother's desperate need to protect her child? She sprang into action, seeking promises from every living thing, every tree and stone, every metal and plant that they would do no harm to Balder. She even secured oaths from inanimate objects, ensuring that nothing in the world could hurt him. With Balder seemingly invincible, the gods found a new pastime, throwing objects at him for sport, watching as arrows and rocks bounced harmlessly away. But while the gods laughed and cheered, there was one among them who watched with growing irritation. Loki, the ever-restless trickster, couldn't stand Balder's untouchable status. What fun is a world where someone is immune to danger? So Loki set his cunning plan in motion. Disguised, he approached Frigg, engaging her in a casual conversation. "Tell me," he asked, "is there truly nothing that can harm Balder?" Frigg, unsuspecting, confessed that there was one thing, just one, that had not sworn the oath, the mistletoe. It was such a young and seemingly harmless plant, she explained, that she thought it posed no threat. Loki's eyes gleamed with opportunity. He took the mistletoe and fashioned it into a dart, then approached Hoder, Balder's blind brother. "Here," he said, handing Hoder the dart. "Join the game. Take this and throw it at Balder." The unsuspecting Hoder, not knowing what he held, cast the mistletoe dart, and the moment it struck Balder, the beautiful god fell dead to the ground. The laughter died instantly. Can you hear the silence that followed? The gasps of horror, the cries of disbelief? Balder, the shining hope of Asgard, was gone, and Loki's cruel trick had plunged the gods into grief. But the story doesn't end with Balder's death. Frigg, consumed by sorrow, pleaded with the gods for someone to ride to the underworld and beg Hel, the queen of the dead, to release her son. Balder's brother Hermod volunteered, mounting Odin's 8-legged horse Sleipnir and galloping for 9 days and 9 nights through dark, misty valleys until he reached the golden bridge over the river Jarl. There, in the shadowy halls of the dead, Hermod found Balder sitting pale and silent. He pleaded with Hel, asking her to let Balder return to the world of the living. Hel, unmoved, offered a grim condition. "If every being in the world will weep for Balder, then he may come back. But if even one refuses, he shall remain here." So messengers were sent out, and the whole world wept. Trees bowed and dropped their leaves, stones glistened with the tears of the earth, and all creatures, great and small, mourned for the fallen god. All but one. In a cave sat a giantess named Thok, who refused to shed a single tear. "Let Balder stay in hell," she said coldly. "He never did anything for me." And with those words, the last hope of bringing Balder back was shattered. Later, it was suspected that Thok was none other than Loki in disguise, ensuring that Balder would remain in the land of the dead. The gods were enraged, knowing now beyond doubt that Loki was the cause of their greatest sorrow. The hunt for Loki began. He tried to hide, transforming himself into a salmon and leaping into the rushing waters. But the gods were relentless. In the end, he was caught with a magical net of his own design, and his punishment was as severe as his crime. The gods bound Loki to 3 jagged rocks, and a venomous serpent was placed above him, its fangs dripping poison onto his face. His wife, Sigyn, stayed by his side, catching the venom in a bowl. But when the bowl filled and she had to empty it, the drops would fall on Loki, and his screams of agony would shake the earth. But even in chains, Loki's story was far from over. After his capture, the gods received a dark prophecy, a vision of Ragnarok, the end of all things. It foretold an endless winter, brother turning against brother, and the sky itself being torn apart. The sun would be devoured by a monstrous wolf, and the stars would vanish from the heavens. And then came the final blow. Loki's bonds would break, and he would rise, leading the giants in a furious assault on Asgard. The Trickster, who had once been a companion to the gods, would become their greatest enemy, the architect of their doom. So what do we make of Loki? He wasn't just a mischievous prankster, he was a force of chaos, a being who blurred the line between friend and foe, hero and villain. Through his actions, he forced the gods to confront their own vulnerabilities, shattered their illusions of invincibility, and set the stage for the twilight of the gods. Loki's story is a reminder that even in the world of the divine, light and darkness are intertwined. His tricks may have led to destruction, but they also revealed hidden truths. He was the spark that ignited the flames of change, a reminder that sometimes it is the forces we try to suppress that shape our destiny the most. So, as we look at the death of Balder and the coming of Ragnarok, we see that Loki was more than just a troublemaker. He was a catalyst, a boundary crosser, a figure who constantly challenged the order of the cosmos. In his rise and fall, we catch a glimpse of the wild, unpredictable dance between creation and destruction, and we are reminded that in every story, there is a bit of Loki. There is always a trickster lurking in the shadows. Imagine a world on the brink of chaos, where the clash of titans is inevitable. After breaking free from his chains, Loki leads the giants into a cataclysmic showdown against the gods in the epic battle known as Ragnarok. These giants, relentless in their pursuit, threaten to snatch away the treasures of the gods and abduct the goddess Freya herself. Can you feel the tension? They seek to plunge the world back into chaos and barrenness. In a desperate bid to counter this threat, Odin, the Allfather, gathers the bravest warriors who have fallen in battle into Valhalla. These legendary heroes stand ready side by side with the gods. Thor, with his mighty hammer, swings fiercely against the giants, keeping them at bay from Asgard. But for how long? Now, let's dive into the haunting verses of a poem known as Voluspa, written around the year 1000. It offers a vivid vision of creation and destruction. Picture this. As Ragnarok unfolds, the fiery sons of Muspel will shatter the Bifrost Bridge, unleashing the giants, led by none other than Loki himself, rising from the ocean's depths. Feel the earth tremble as monstrous creatures break free. The fearsome Fenris wolf, Loki's own son, devours Odin, while Thor faces his own demise, slaying the Midgard serpent, only to succumb to its deadly venom. And then, in a blaze of fury, the fire giant Surt ignites the earth. The sky collapses and the world is engulfed by the rising sea. However, this is not the end of the tale. For from the ashes of destruction, a new world will rise. The sons of the gods will once again populate the sky and the earth, alongside a brave couple who sought refuge in the sacred Yggdrasil, the world tree. A new sun will rise and traverse the heavens. Might we see Balder return? At the center of this saga lies Frigg's desperate attempt to secure peace for her son, Balder. She seeks oaths from every living and dead creature, wishing to create a sanctuary in Asgard where no harm can touch him. But let me ask you this. Is it truly possible to preserve the status quo? The gods strive to maintain their world, fearing change, but change is the essence of life itself. In this narrative, Loki emerges as the trickster. His very nature rebels against the gods' desire to uphold stability. What if I told you that his mischief is vital? The story suggests that any society that becomes too rigid, just like the gods in this tale, is destined for collapse, consumed by flames. By trying to bind the trickster, the gods inadvertently pave the way for their downfall. So what happens when we try to expel the trickster from our lives? Our world becomes sterile, so devoid of chaos that it risks its own survival. Is it not the unpredictable nature of life that keeps us vibrant? Embrace the chaos, for it is the spark that fuels our existence. In our next lesson, we will delve into the fascinating world of one of the most renowned tricksters in mythology, Maui. This remarkable figure is not depicted as an animal, as many trickster characters are, but rather as a human. Maui stands as Oceania's greatest cultural hero, embodying both heroic qualities and the cunning nature typical of tricksters. Maui is celebrated across various Pacific cultures for his adventurous spirit and his remarkable feats, which often challenge societal norms and taboos. His exploits are not just tales of bravery, they are rich narratives that explore the boundaries of tradition. Through his mischievous acts, Maui often finds himself defying conventions, breaking sacred rules, and pushing the limits of what is acceptable in Oceanian society. But why does Maui act in such a way? Is it simply for the sake of mischief, or is there a deeper purpose to his actions? As we explore Maui's stories, we will uncover how his trickster persona serves as a catalyst for change and innovation, prompting his people to question and redefine their beliefs and practices. Join me as we unravel the layers of Maui's character and discover how his legacy as both a hero and a trickster continues to resonate throughout Oceania, shaping the culture and values of its peoples. Get ready for an engaging discussion that will challenge our understanding of heroism, creativity, and the role of tricksters in shaping cultural narratives.